Hey guys, what up? It's Tech Tuesday here at Barn Door Cycling, and today we're going to look at some advanced techniques for making your chain really slippery. Now this is some pretty good stuff. I use this a lot, but what I really want is a clean and smooth chain, and that's when I need to go to my chain wax. All right, so let's look at what I got going on so far. I've just cleaned my chain in some gasoline, and I'm over here. I got my chain wax heating up, and now I need to get the chain out of there. It's pretty clean. I can touch it, and I'm just gonna get the chain out of there and just let it hang up to dry for a while. It's gonna take a little bit of time to dry before it's ready to be waxed. So guys, you're gonna need, if you want to start waxing your chain, you're gonna need something to heat the wax up in. These little crock pots. This was this was a pretty nice one when I think I stole it from my wife, but they're not too expensive. The crock pot's nice because it just, you can just leave the wax in there. So this is I bought, I think it cost $3 or $4. It wasn't that expensive. Maybe it was $5. I don't know. Anyway, I bought this wax years ago. I've probably waxed 20 or 30 chains since then, and it got really dirty once because somebody had said, "Oh, you don't even really have to clean your chain. Just drop it in. The wax will clean it." Well, I think that might work. It did, but the wax didn't adhere nearly as well. And also it left my wax all dirty. So this is paraffin wax. I think it's Knox brand. You can buy it at most grocery stores in the canning section. Mr. Biddy wants in. Alright, so my chain's pretty dry now. The process is this is just really simple. You're just going to take the chain and just drop it in the wax. You just need to make sure it gets totally submerged. And then you're going to need to agitate it for a while. I don't know how long, a few minutes. You're going to probably see some little bubbles work their way out of the chain here and there where stuff's getting displaced. So you're trying to get the wax to coat the inside of the rollers, and you're trying to get those to become like completely covered in wax. So benefits of wax: it's super clean. There's no oil. Your bike's going to stay a lot cleaner when you use wax. But there's some drawbacks to wax. Okay, I didn't find that it works very good at all in the water. Once you get it wet, it really starts to lose. It just starts to come off. Your chain gets pretty squeaky. So as long as you keep it dry, it works pretty good. It starts to get wet, you're in bad shape. If you normally ride in the dry, it'll probably last for weeks, if not maybe a month. It doesn't seem to really go anywhere until you get wet. I think it's probably the smoothest, most efficient wax. At least reports have showed that. Tests have showed that. It's the most efficient way to do your drivetrain. It's just time consuming. You got to take your chain off, you got to clean it, and if you're going to clean a chain, you might as well clean your cogs and get them looking really shiny. So this is something, if you care a lot about your bike looking like really clean and neat, or if you want the most efficiency possible, I usually wax. This is a brand new chain, and I always take that coating that comes on a chain off anyway. I don't think it's very good lubrication. It keeps the chain from rusting, but it's not great lubrication. I always clean that stuff off, and then I'll wax the chain. And then, once the wax starts to wear off, I might, instead of re-waxing it, I'll just start using rock and roll or some other kind of lubricant just to save time. But sometimes if I care a lot, I'll take it off, gasoline clean it again, and then do this. So I'm gonna let it soak for a little longer. Let that really work in there. I usually let it soak 5 and 10 minutes and agitate it every now and again. I don't know really how long you should do, but that seems to work okay. So I'm gonna let that soak for a while, and then I'll show you the rest of the process. Alright guys, so it's been in there for about 10 minutes soaking, and it's ready to go. So the process now is pretty simple, just like you'd imagine. You just want to let the chain drip off a little bit. You want to try to get as much of that wax back in there as you can, because you can just keep reusing that stuff. And so, I like to try to let it drip off. And once it's, you've waited long enough, I just like to find something, I just hang it from this nail up here. You have something to hang your chain from. And now it's going to take, probably 30 minutes almost to cool off and totally dry. So now that's the time. Actually the work involved in waxing your chain is just a few minutes. It's really pretty easy work. It's just a time consuming. You got to let it dry. You got to let the gas dry or whatever you clean your chain with, and you got to let it sit in the wax for a while, then you got to let it sit and dry for a while. That's the time consuming part. But it's nice if you're just if you're not in a hurry and you can just work on it here and there. One little thing I would always keep in mind, I've heard that this wax will eventually catch on fire if it gets hot enough. You can make a sweet torch out of this wax. This is how they used to make torches. It's it burns, and if you leave this on high long enough, I believe it would catch on fire. So a lot of times I don't even use high. I'll just put it on low. But make sure that you turn it off. You don't want your wax to catch on fire. So guys, if you do it right, your chain should kind of just, quite a bit of it should be stiff when it's first cool enough to touch. And so now I'm ready to reinstall my chain, and it's going to be like kind of for a while just like shedding extra wax and stuff. That's not a problem. You'll just shed off the extra wax and the chain should be really smooth. So hey, that's chain waxing 101. If you want to have a super clean, super smooth drivetrain, it's worth a try.